Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to episode number 10 of the upcoming Retro Podcast. I am one of the hosts, the video game votary, joined by my lovely co host, the first lady of upcoming Retro Podcast, Miss AK Games. How are you?
Good. Had a big week. Well, not a big weekend, but I just came from seeing the Beetlejuice movie. I know you were just saying that you saw that
Yeah,
movie as well.
yes.
So kind of chill, kind of all over the place at the same time, but we're
Yeah.
here as
Yeah.
always.
So, what'd you think about the movie?
I didn't see any other movies beforehand, so this was my first like encounter with the
Hmm.
franchise or series, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And it was nothing like I thought it was gonna
Yeah,
be.
it was a lot because I didn't go back and watch the first one again. So I was a little taken back. I was like, this is it's a lot, but it was pretty funny. I think it was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think
So
some stuff was a little much for me, but you know,
yeah, and it wasn't as scary as
right?
I thought.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's a little bit of like it's not as scary. It's a little bit kind of like comedic horror, So it
mhm.
wasn't nothing that's like gonna set you back or whatever. But let's talk about video games. And this one topic that is all over the internet currently, and that was the announcement of the PS5 Pro that has a price tag of $700 without a disk drive and without a vertical stand. AK Games, share your thoughts. You got the floor.
Yeah. So everybody who knows me knows I'm a big PlayStation person. I mean, out of all the consoles, I would pick PlayStation all day. But recently, they've just been dropping the ball just in almost all categories. Like it's so disappointing to see a console for $700 with no disc drive. Like I know we are, moving through the times, the stuff's changing and stuff like that. But as long as they're still putting out discs, it should still be a disc drive. People still use the disc drive. There's a lot of people who collect games like myself and stuff like that. And I just don't understand it. A lot of people are saying that it's like Apple, how they got rid of the earphone jack. And it's just like we're paying more money to get less stuff, and it just doesn't make any sense. You
Right.
know?
Yep, that's true. That's very true. And even like as far as like what they're offering, they're saying it's stronger and they're showing stuff about the current games and past games being upscaled, but I'm not sure that gonna meet the price tag of $200 more. And
No.
what I will say is I'm not against the idea of them having the disk drive separate, but what I feel like because one big thing was people always try to get the gamers, we would like to see things backwards compatible, right?
Yeah.
So what I feel like in that case, I'm sure Sony always took into account how much would go into making the console itself backwards compatible. It would take a lot to put whatever it is to be able to run PlayStation 1 through 4 in there, right? So we get that. So now you're charging the consumer a separate price. Then why not make that separate unit be able to play all generations?
Oh yeah,
If you're
that's a
gonna
good
do
idea.
that, the thought is awesome. But yes, I feel like that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And
Oh
joining
hey.
us a little late is Black Ranger,
Hey guys.
Goldar face. I like the shirt, bro.
Ah, so
The
exciting.
Ultimate Warrior. But yeah, so we're talking about PS5 Pro. But I think that disk drive should have the capabilities of running everything from 1 through 5. Especially if you're gonna have it separate. You can't say, "Oh, it's gonna take too much to put in the console." Now, granted, they have to put certain things in the software that obviously would have to, recognize those whatever is required. I'm sure it's like some form of emulation, but that's to me, it's not it's a no go for me. It was like
Yeah.
so. What do you think about that, AK? Like as far as like your initial thoughts, like is that something you're gonna buy? We know you're a PlayStation girl.
So I am mixed about it. For one, that's a really good idea that you mentioned about having the disk drive be compatible with all you know, the console games and stuff like that. I didn't really think about it as a good idea. But the fact that, I mean, for a $700 console, and then you have to pay, I forget, it's either $70 or $80 for the disc drive. Like, it shouldn't be that much. It should be like, if you're gonna pay extra, it should be like $10. But I can't justify it personally. I don't think I'm gonna get it. I think um it'll have to be just a miss for me. I'll stick I'll stick with my regular PS5. I don't have $700 to just blow like that. But I mean, I guess if people think it's worth it just to, you know, have a little bit better graphics and stuff like that, then, you know, by all means, like, go ahead, do your thing. But I don't think it's for me. I don't know.
Right. And Black Ranger, you joined kind of late. What are your thoughts on this PS5 Pro thing?
So I'm kind of tired of pretty much both PlayStation and Xbox waiting 2-3 years after the original console comes out to change, you know, 2 or 3 things within the system. You know, they changed the big 3 in the PS5 to make it the PS5 Pro. Bro, just go ahead and use all that money and technology y'all got to make the next gen. Just stop making a new console and calling it the Pro, or, you know, Xbox got all the series. I don't even watch TV series. All right, I ain't got time for all that, man. Just be different, man. I'm tired of it. I mean, I can understand making like a light version of the compact. You know, had the PS4, then had the smaller one, the PS3, big fat boy. Then you got the, you know, the smaller, the slim. You know, I can understand the slim version, but you already came out with a disc version and a digital version when it first came out. Just make the next gen, bro. It's been, what, how many years? 3, 4?
4.
4 years. Bro, why am I waiting 4 years? Y'all made the PS5 and a half. Just do something different, man. I ain't got that.
Yeah, they are money hungry. That's the thing. I feel like all of these companies are just getting money hungry. That's the root of the issue, really. They see money and want more.
And one thing I wanted to point out that I noticed that I think a lot of people are taking into account, and in certain ways, some of us as gamers being overzealous, I think we kind of mess it up, because I'll tell you one thing. Sony for sure paid attention to the situation where the PS5s weren't available, and you had people paid over $1,000 for their PS5s. So I'm pretty sure they're like, nah, you could pay that. So, you know, in certain ways that kind of hurt things, and they shouldn't look at the consumer like that, but at the same time they can, because you still spent the money, you know, for those that did, you know. I think that put the consumer market in a bad spot, because in their mind they could justify it. But from Sony's perspective, it's like, for one, I'm not even a fan of the multiple consoles that come out in between. If you're going to do it, then do it like it's a special edition with Last of Us or God of War. Do something like that. Not come out in the middle with a Pro version or expanded version. Do something and let it actually truly bring something new to the table. Like, I'm a Nintendo guy regardless, right? But at least they came out with an OLED screen. That's something that makes a little bit of difference, and they only raised the price $50. Like, you know, you jumped it from $500 to $700, and you took something away. You took the disc drive away, right? So you take that away. You want people to pay more, and graphically, it's not a huge jump, you know. And I had a lot of people telling me that, you know, I saw the big difference between the PS4 and the PS5, but I didn't play the PS4 Pro. So a lot of people like, well, this is why you feel that way, and that may rightfully so, but I never buy the in between thing. Like, if anything, maybe it's for the sake of memory, but it wouldn't be for the sake for it to be stronger. I don't need that. Like, it's just not necessary to me, and that does not. I don't see from the things that they talked about justifying me spending another $300 or even trading in what I have. I just don't see it. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make financial sense to me, you know. So in the comment section, we got A Omega. What's up, brother? Welcome, man. We got a comment here from Siberia. More like $400. You can get a hell. Exactly. So that was going to be my next point. So Sony is treading very dangerous waters with this, right? $700. Now, if you decide you want to get this drive, what is it, another $80? So with tax, that's $800, right? Yeah. So $800. if we're talking about just people that just want to game and have the best experience, because that's what they're pushing the experience, being stronger, being better, right? I don't think Sony pays attention to what you can get an entry level gaming PC for.
Yeah.
Right. You're right there.
And another thing I want to mention too is games like Sony games or PlayStation games. They're kind of doing the same thing, because I don't know if you guys know or paid attention to when The Last of Us got remastered. It was either last year or the year before that. It was remastered and they placed it for like $70. They priced it at $70 for a remaster. Like what? Like nobody wants to pay that. And then they also remastered The Last of Us 2. And that game is like super clean. Like, why are we remastering it and then charging another $70? That doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, you know? It doesn't. It doesn't. We got Meg in the comments said for another $700 you could build a PS6.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I mean. If you have the knowledge and you're in the know, with the exception of IPs, which Sony does still have some, but they do tend to put it onto PC. Like Nintendo has the IP, so you're only gonna be able to play it there. But you can play those PlayStation games in a way better format on a gaming PC.
Yeah.
And then, you know, couple $100 a year, you can upgrade your graphics card and keep going. So, you know, I don't know. I just think from a business perspective, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you got your PlayStation fans, but while you're putting your content on other platforms like PC, you got shooting yourself in the foot. At least deliver and make people feel like, yeah. But I mean, don't get me wrong. There's going to be people. It's going to be plenty of people that's going to buy it. We know that. Like, it's going to happen. You're going to get people complaining. They're going to go out to the stores and buy it, unless it's something that, you know, you're not that much involved in. You know what I mean? To feel like I'm not. I like PlayStation 2, but you're not going to get me to go spend that. Like, it's not that important to me. If it's your main console, maybe. But even the stuff that I saw, it wasn't enough.
Console. It's my main console, and I can't even justify it. I don't think I can.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't. You know, I'm sitting up there watching. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not like a like that knows all the specs and stuff like that. But one thing too is what they're putting out there. It's not gonna be realistic either. You know, all the 60 frames per second, they haven't delivered on that. Nobody has. It's very hard to do that. Only way you're gonna get that is with a PC. You know, we haven't seen console reach that, and it's becoming, especially with the release of the Series X and S and the PS5, it was already being spoken about within the community that it's now, you know, pretty much a PC inside of a console. You know, so at that point, if you're doing that, now you're treading the waters, like I said, you might as well get a PC.
And that's another. Oh, I was just gonna say that's another point too that I kind of want to mention. Sometimes the games aren't even that great to be running, you know, that high of a thing. Because that's the same thing. Kind of I don't know if we're discussing it out here. I was discussing it somewhere where you know, the DualSense controller has all these capabilities, but nobody's using it. So it's like, okay, we're upgrading for, you know, this better console and stuff like that. But are games even taking advantage of something that can run that powerfully? Like, how many games can actually do that? I mean, I could think of a handful, not all of them. So it's like that in itself, like you got to think of the price for that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and like I'm kind of want to pull up that presentation and where they were showing like Spider-Man and the game side by side, and bro,
it's not even that much.
Looks brighter,
yeah,
a little bit more sharp. Like that ain't enough. Not for $200 more out the gate. And then on top of that, right? This the part I completely forgot about. It just kind of dawned on me, right? So you got all the people that did buy the PS5 with the disc, right? How are we gonna play our games that we bought already? We now. So what you're telling me? I have to spend $800 to keep playing what I have, bro. Not gonna happen. That right there was not smart at all, in my opinion. Like, it just wasn't enough. Like, they just. Oh man, I don't say it was a bad idea, but it was a bad idea.
It wasn't smart thinking. Let's just say that.
Definitely not. Hey, Omega says diminishing return has been a thing for about 10 years now. Games can only look so much better and really starting to show now.
Yeah,
Very
for
true.
sure.
We definitely have been in a place where we are not seeing a huge jump. And the biggest example of these brands having to pay attention to making more quality games. That's what matters. Because
Mm-hmm.
truth be told, Nintendo's putting out a bunch of quality games, right? Quality games that is competing against these super powerful consoles with all these 60 frames per second and ray tracing and all this. But can we honestly say that these games are better than Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild? Can we say that legitimately? Not
I
necessarily. It's at least arguable.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have someone in my comments asking a question. They said, "Do you think the PS5 Pro is worthwhile for a consumer purchasing a PS5 for the first time as opposed to upgrading?" In my opinion, I think you're better off just buying the regular PS5 with the disc, to
Yeah,
be
I mean,
honest.
think about it. Think about that. That's a good point. From your chat, right? Think about you walking to GameStop and you're like, "Yeah, I'm looking for PS5." Okay, well, we got the regular one at $500, and we got the new one. It's $700. Okay, what's the difference? Well,
Mhm.
this is the Pro. It's a little bit stronger,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have a disc drive. So
Mhm.
total, it's gonna be about 800, and your regular PS5 is gonna be about 550.
Mhm.
So you mean to tell me I'm pay $800 to get a disc for a little bit of strength? Come on,
Mhm.
bro. Like what you if you were gonna do $700, I think for one, they are going to they're gonna adjust that price some way. I
Yeah.
think they're gonna do some adjustment. But if you're gonna do 700, it should have had the external disk drive where you have the option to have that. It should include that, and they should include the VR.
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
And that's a whole
You know what I'm
nother
saying?
thing, the
If
VR.
you're right, if you're gonna force us into spending that money, you gotta give us more. You gotta give
Yeah.
the consumer more. Because there's nothing there that, yeah, nah, that I need that for $700 like
Well,
that.
well,
Nothing
see,
says that.
well,
Go
see,
ahead, Black Ranger.
you're paying $700 because you have two extra slits on the side. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
$100 each.
$100 each each slash. You know what I'm saying? They
Oh
they
my
they
god.
made it. They let you see why you paying extra. You know what I'm saying? They said you see these slits on the regular one. Now
Mhm.
you got three of them. So here's
Right.
the
Yeah.
extra part. That took a lot of money in 3D printing to get them extra slits. All right.
Yeah. I just feel
Insane.
like instead of putting that money into developing and producing this new console, man, y'all could have put that money behind some of these studios to come out with some of these games that need a PS5 game. Red Dead, you come out with a new
Mhm.
Red Dead. You obviously got GTA coming. I'm trying to think what other PlayStation franchises are missing. I know AK, you're a PlayStation girl. What would you like to see that you feel like they could have put that money to?
Well, all those, more retro games that we're all missing on, like, Jack and Dexter, Sly Cooper, everybody wants those back. And all they're doing is pumping up Ratchet and Clank, which I'm not terribly mad at. But yeah, The Last of Us isn't current gen at all. What else? I mean, we did get a God of War, Ghost of Tsushima. That's another one. And if I butchered the name, I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, those are all stuff that we're all just sitting here waiting on, but they're not doing anything but making remakes and crappy consoles, to put it in a nice way. And so it's like, oh, what do we do? We just gotta sit and wait for them because they're not doing anything. They're not listening to the players, apparently.
Nope.
Not at all. And like Marcus said, you know what I'm saying? He saw the difference, when he went from the PS4 to the PS5. And everybody's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you didn't have the PS4 Pro, so you didn't see the difference."
Hmm.
Well, just make it a difference and stop putting these pros in the middle. It's kind of like it's almost like they're saying, "Here's your halfway point. We're making this Pro, so in another 4 years, we're gonna give you the PS6." I don't
Yeah.
care about the Pro. Just I don't know, update your servers or something. Put that money into updating servers, fixing the games that are broke, or
Hmm.
doing something like that, and just put everything else into developing a better next gen system. Because
Hmm.
now, after you've bled everybody for their money with this PS5 Pro, and another pretty much after taxes $100 for a disk drive if you're gonna get that.
Yeah.
Then you got to pay for upgraded storage if you want it, proprietary hardware to store more stuff, and then turn around 3 years later and say, "Well, I hope you had fun doing that, but here's a brand new system, and you're gonna
Yeah.
want it, and we know you're gonna buy it because it's next gen." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That is
And
crazy.
that's another thing too. You're mentioning the jump from PS4 to PS5. Another promise that they made was, no load times, and that was a lie because there's load times. I mean, some they did cut it down a lot, but they did
Yeah,
make a lot of promises with the PS5, and the PS5 has just let me down in so many ways, and
yeah.
it just makes me so mad. But it's like I'm still gonna buy it and stuff because I love PlayStation, but it's just they just let me down. They're letting me down this year, especially.
Okay. So, question: 4 years into the lifespan of the PS5, pretty much halfway through the life cycle, where would you grade PS5 overall? Let's start with you, AK.
Um, I think I would grade it just out of all the other PS5 or the PlayStation consoles.
Or just
Yeah.
in general, with just the general performance of the PS5, where would you rate it at 4 years into its life cycle? Like, where would you put it at?
Oh, I like maybe out of like if I was gonna grade it like out of 5 or something. I guess I don't know.
Or if
I
you
guess
gave it like a letter grade,
okay. I give it a C.
give it a C.
A C because I think they have made some improvements, but it's not as many improvements that I would like, and also the games that are coming out on the PS5, they're letting me down tremendously.
Okay. And
It's
chat,
not a
I
lot.
want to know what y'all think as well too. So like the chat up. Let me know what y'all. If you could grade the PS5 overall since its release, where would you put it at? Black Ranger. What's your thoughts?
So me as I'm like the middle point grader because I never purchased the PS5. I said I wasn't gonna get it until some years in, and now that the Pro is coming out, the parts might drop some more and I can get it. But I would again, I'd go with AK and put it at a C. I've Don't get me wrong, I've played it a ton. I'm not like as a kid when we used to be our cousins would have the system we would and we play. My best friend he has the 5, and whenever we go over there, we listen to music, play PS5. And again, I give it a C, just average, like not anything tremendous has happened, but it hasn't just fell flat on its face too. But if I went to school for education, and this is one of them things I'd be like, the teacher gonna have to give you a in or incomplete and pass it back. Like you need to go ahead and finish this assignment real quick and try to turn it back in.
Hmm. That's a great analogy, great way to put it. Uh, hit the chat real quick. Just tell people who haven't bought PS5 yet that GTA 6 ain't doing 4K 60 frames per second on the Pro. That'll make it
Yeah.
just by the record. And just so y'all know, just to give context, A Omega is very tech savvy. So he'll dive deep into things and break it down in ways that I won't always comprehend or pay attention to. So that's a great point. Like he'll do, his own studies and doing tests and stuff like that. And where other channels that are more into tech will break it down, show you live on screen, the frames dropping and all of that. So yes, and that's not good, especially you got more and more people that dive into that. And people,
Mhm.
people want to know where they're putting their money at, and they gotta make it worth it. And we got, not to mention, once PS5 servers shut down, those purchased optical drives will likely be useless due to having I have been talking about that for the longest time, as we
Mhm.
talked about last week with Concord, right? That's a
Yeah.
prime example. Do I really want to invest anything into something where whenever a developer feels like it, they can just pull it?
Mhm.
Now, and you will not always get your money back. Like, that right there is bothersome to me. Like the fact that at any time it could happen because they're not satisfied. But at the end of the day, what does that do for the people who spent their money? If you're
Mhm.
not willing to refund people their money, I don't see them continuing that process of refunding everybody that purchased something. So yes, that's a great point from Unloaded. So Mega says it's an 8 out of 10 for him, or B. This generation is very wired one when you see everything Sony has done for 4 years. Yeah, That's true. And we got Leland, like see Parasite Eva. Absolutely. Dino Crisis remade. That would be great. Say we'll give it a C. Those
Yeah.
would be it's so many ways that they can go that I feel like they were better off putting their money into, because for whatever reason, this generation has been really strange and been lackluster with putting out games though.
I have a question for you guys. So do you think Sony is not really like up in their game, I guess you could say, because of the lack of competition? Now, I'm not including PC in this. That's a separate one. But do you think since Xbox has been kind of dropping the ball within the last couple years, do you think they feel like they can like have some like wiggle room to like, okay, maybe we just need a breather to recollect or something, and then maybe in a few years they're gonna like come back even stronger or something? Because that's something I was thinking about. I'm like, I wonder if they're not putting their all into it because they feel like they don't have any competition in their space.
Black Range, you want that one first?
Yeah, I would say it's a fusion of things. One that, yeah, definitely, and that's only again on, I guess, on the Microsoft and the Xbox end, because
Yeah.
Nintendo is
No,
just
yeah, not
taking that
Nintendo. That's
all the
separate.
time. But yeah, and they also don't feel like that's a different type of competition, because
Hmm.
Nintendo's Nintendo and it's
Yeah,
always gonna
exactly.
be Nintendo. But it's a mixture of that, and then also the, I guess, in the terms of Janet Jackson, the pleasure principle. We know, yeah, gaming has come a long way. Technology has come a long way. So they're trying to put more and more into these both consoles and games. So as the technology develops, they're trying to stick more and more and more like upgrades into the game. So it's taking them longer to develop, which is a good and bad thing, because you still gonna have DLCs and all that stuff or patches come out. Unlike Nintendo, that's like, all right, you're putting this thing on the cartridge, on a little SD card, pop it in, the whole game's there, it's running, and it's not about the graphics, it's about the game, the gameplay.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I say that's both for Xbox and Sony and PlayStation. Like, we gotta make sure most of the stuff they talked about with the upgrade to the PS5 Pro is graphics, frame
Hmm.
rates. You know, they performance pretty much. They talk nothing about the gameplay, because it's still gonna play the same games the PS5.
Right.
Hmm.
And that's a good point. And to answer your question, AK, I think so. I think they kind of feel like, well, Nintendo really hasn't came out in this generation, and they have their own set of fans.
Yeah.
But with the part that I feel like Sony's at least missing. I mean, Xbox, I feel like they're just going in another direction where they're kind of not paying too much attention to the console game. They're just more so putting more Xbox in more homes by
Hmm.
just expanding what they're doing, which is nothing wrong with that, because that's still in a lot of ways catering to the consumer. Because at the end of the day, we care about the games. And the biggest thing that I think Sony's just like, well, we don't have anybody to compete with, so we don't have to try as hard. But the one thing that has been missing in this generation is the quality.
Hmm.
Like, it just seems like they're just not putting a lot of effort into things. Things are coming out broken. They got to fix and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, you can increase the graphics, but is the game good? Is the game good?
Yeah.
That's what matters. And as much, and yes, I can be very biased because I'm a Nintendo person. But one thing we're going to know, for the most part, Nintendo is going to give you good quality games when they do it. They're going to give you a quality game. You know what I'm saying? Have you seen a Zelda game come out broken? It's just not going to happen, because they
Yeah.
care that much about their product. And I feel like if Sony and Xbox put that much into it, yes, they could have something to stand on. But it just seems like it's no, they're not putting their heart in it like it used to be. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I'm almost
And maybe,
wondering.
but
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm almost wondering if there's too many hands in the pot at Sony, because they have all of these different companies working under them, and I don't know
yeah,
if it's the same for Nintendo. I'm sure they do to an extent, but I feel like Nintendo has a lot of control still. I'm not sure how that
kind of
is
like
with
a
Sony.
quality assurance. Like, you could have
Yeah,
all these
Yeah,
developers, but I feel like Nintendo has a quality assurance where it gets up there like, nah, son, we ain't putting this out. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So they gotta have they have to have that at some point.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be like, nah, this ain't gonna happen. Like I
Yeah.
respect when Xbox pulled down Halo because they felt like it wasn't good, so they went back to the table. But then I also heard that it's not that great. I haven't played it, the newest one that came out on the Xbox, but I'm not hearing like okay, went back to the table to try to make it better. But I haven't seen that it was better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's the quality. I think that the quality is not being looked at. It almost seems like it's just not important just because they're like, yeah, they're going to choose us anyway. But that's not entirely true. You still have Xbox fans that just prefer Xbox over PlayStation because,
Mm-hmm.
again, outside of Nintendo, there's not a lot of difference between PlayStation and Xbox other than preference.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a whole lot of difference. So you have to make it worth the consumer's while, especially to ask for a price point where you at. Where I would give it a C at best. To give it my letter grade. Is it a great console? Sure. Now I will say this: I did recently get a PlayStation Portal. Um, did not want to pay $200. I ended up getting it for $125, which I think is a great price for what
Mm-hmm.
it does. Now that is beneficial, and they've been making some improvements, which kind of led me down that path. Plus, I would like to kind of get through some of my old PS4 library. Mind you, I said PS4. I have a couple games on PS5, but it's a lot of games that I want to play on the PS4 that I hadn't got a chance, and that will give me an opportunity more than being home to play those games. So, with
Mm-hmm.
that being said, that's cool, But other than that, like there isn't a great deal of games on PS5 that I'm like, yeah, I want to get that and play it. It's just
PS4 was
not.
where it's at. I always say that PS4 had great games. That's why I
Yeah,
don't know what happened with the PS5. And a lot of games I play on my PS5 is still the games that came out on the PS4. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't
yeah.
know.
And I think what happened in 2020 did play a role in a lot of things, but we're still
Mhm.
dealing with the after effects of it, but we're like 4 years out of that place.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
it's like, what happened? You still got to try to thrive. Like you're a video game company.
Mhm.
You should focus on your games and not instead of spending whatever time they spent. We're gonna come out with this PS5 Pro. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could have focused a little bit more on fixing that PSVR 2. Put
Mhm.
more into that instead of just abandoning. They have this thing with abandoning things.
They do.
You know what I'm saying? And not only that, and just still, if they're talking about money, you have these great ideas that you think is going to work, but then you put yourself back in a box and you're putting the lock on and latching it shut with the PS Portal. You have to use a PlayStation product as far as headphones unless you're going to plug it in.
Mhm.
Now, so I think in some aspects it's probably not it's not a big thing. They don't pay attention to the consumer as much, right? Although they should, because we're the ones that's buying it. But
Mhm.
it's obvious that they don't. You made that mistake with the Vita. The Vita was fantastic, but then you
Mhm.
force everybody to buy this memory card that still to this day is almost $100, right? And you've seen the feedback from that. You turn around and come out with the Portal and you do the same thing. And I don't even know how much those earbuds are. How much are those earbuds? Does anybody know in the chat or y'all? What is it, like 200?
I did know. I can look it up
I
really quick.
mean, you could use the Pulse headset, which I got on. I
Yeah.
believe this was like 100.
199.99.
Like, what are we doing? Because the Pulse headphones, what are they, 150,
Yeah, they're
130?
150. Mhm.
Yeah. So why, bro? Because even that, like, even I wasn't a fan of Nintendo that it didn't have Bluetooth with the Switch, but I mean, they did it, and all it takes is it's in the software. Bluetooth is in the software of all these consoles with the wireless controller. It's there. So it's like, you really kind of being petty when it comes to that. You know what I mean? And even when Nintendo did turn it on, they didn't release no wireless. I don't even know if Nintendo has a wireless headset for the Switch. They didn't do that. I think they listened to their fans, like, all right, we're gonna give them that, which is it's cool. You making your product have a little bit of a better experience. Be able, we like the wireless stuff. We don't want to have old school wired headphones anymore. I mean, it's cool if it works for you, but for the most part, a lot of people are going wireless. But to put somebody in the corner to do that, like, it just seems like they're doing what the Xbox One did. You remember when that whole debacle on that release, where they
Mhm.
had the Connect, where you had to pay what was it? They came out at 6, was it 600? I think
I'm not positive.
it was either 550 or 6 because the PS4 no, it's 500 because the PS4 was 400 when it came out. And Xbox decided, yeah, you got to get the Connect. So it was $100 more than the PS4 when it came out, and it just wasn't worth it. Like everybody doesn't care about that. You got to leave that up to the people whether or not they're gonna buy it. But they were like forcing it down people's throat, and it cost them X $100. And it's like, who didn't learn from that? And maybe PlayStation is just riding high on their own success, feeling like, no, we got this in the bag. We don't got it. And maybe that plays a role. I don't know how much of that plays a role, but it kind of is coming off a little bit like that, a little lackluster. That people not feeling that. You got go ahead.
I was gonna say the extra $700 that should have included the extra Bluetooth stuff and being able to use Bluetooth like AirPods or something like that.
It should have at least included the stand. I mean, I mean,
next they're not gonna include the controller.
That's nuts. Like honestly, like that's kind of crazy that you don't get a stand. How much is the stand? I didn't even ask that. Like, how much is that stand?
That's like 50 or something, and it shouldn't even be that. Shoot.
So
I looked up.
Okay, so what is the option if you don't buy the stand? What is the option?
I think you just lay it on its side, but even my PS5, you have to use the stand to lay it on the side. So I don't know if this one's just different where you don't need that. I don't know.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder. I think that some people probably caught on that a lot faster than me, but I'm kind of like, okay, if you're selling the stand, you make it seem like the stand is needed.
Right.
So what do you do if you don't have it? You said 30?
Yeah, $30.
No
I mean, that's not that bad, but still.
For a stand is crazy. Though. I can see 10.
That stand should have charging ports on the side or something.
Yeah.
Why would they gonna sell you those charging ports on the as an additional price too? Why
would $30 for a stand is crazy.
That's insane, man. So
Siberia
says soon you'll have to he said you'll have to lease your PlayStation.
Yeah.
Pay $30 a month for life.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, you might as well get it at Rent Center at this point. They're gonna take it back.
That's a fact. Yeah.
I still hope that they're gonna make a comeback. I'm still hopeful. I still love PlayStation. Just make a comeback. Please just listen to the players. That's all I ask. They need to
I mean, they might as well come out with a. You remember when they had the was that the PS3? I think when they had the PlayStation TV. Just make a whole TV, Sony. Just sell me a white TV that look like a PS5 that come with the controllers and put a disc drive on it, man. Come on, that would be more fun to me at this point. It's different. At least it's different.
That would be worth $700, $800.
Yeah, and you want to know another reason that would work? Because now you're selling the actual TV that's like, now you'll really see the graphics. You don't have to make sure you have a 4K TV or this type of hookup.
That's a whole nother thing.
All built into the TV.
Yeah, kind of like that. What was that old was the NES or the SNES? With the TV and it had the console built in. What was that?
Oh yeah, the
Sharp. Wasn't it Sharp?
Yeah, the Sharp Nintendo.
Yeah, something like that. It just included all in one thing, and I feel like that would be worth it because they're coming out with a bunch of TVs that are everything's catching up. Of course, there's always a big difference with the higher, not a big difference, but enough difference on the high end TVs where some of the whole unit, some of the whole thing, because truth be told, in order to achieve and see the best that it can offer, you need to have the right TV.
Mm-hmm.
So think about somebody. All right, I just had PS4, right? And again, TVs come out every year, just like graphics cards. So all right, now I'm gonna get a PS5. You get this Pro, your TV ain't even up to par. Now you got to spend money on the TV. You might as well just go ahead and put everything in one package and sell it. Unloaded says you can buy a charging dock for PS5 controllers for cheaper than the PS5 stand.
Yeah,
something's back was very freaking true, very true. Because matter of fact, the charge ports from Sony is like $30, I believe. Because I got one for mine my two controllers.
I was about to say
And
they
then
have stands with the charging ports for $30.
oh yeah, shout out to Marching Mongoose. That's my boy in there. Yeah, $700 is not going to upgrade my TV. Very true. So even now, you can get an entry level 4K, $300-400. So think about it. Let's say I want to properly stand up my PS5 Pro. I want to be able to play the games that I bought already. I want to play the games that I bought already. Let's keep that in mind. See that I think people missing that. I want to play the games that I bought already. I'm in the whole probably $850. And if my TV ain't up to par, add on another $300. Now I'm at $1,200. When I could just buy a PC. Voila. If we there. And you're at a level that's, I'm pretty sure at $1,200 into a PC, you're probably above where PS5 is. Or if not, you're close to it. You're very close to it. I think if it's done in the right way, you probably can exceed where it's at.
Well, what they were saying too, because I did like a breakdown of the PS5 Pro, I guess you could say. They're saying that those games, those games where they did the side by side or whatever. I guess they said you could see the ones that have been enhanced with the PS5 or something because it has like a label or something. So I'm wondering if that even works or if it's gonna just be a free upgrade to the games that you bought with the disc, or does it just gonna work with the games that you bought digitally?
That's a good point. Question. I mean, I believe with the PS5, the PS4, I think it automatically did it. With the games, I think it was something in there that would, it upscale it just a bit. I mean, they didn't really talk about that, but from the looks of it and the direction that it seems is going, chasing money, I wouldn't be shocked. They would definitely slam the casket shut if they would do this. If they had something where it's like, these are the PS5 upgraded titles and release these games again. It's PS5 upscaled or whatever. They better throw that in. They better not try and turn around and do something like, yeah, you got to buy this game in order for it to work. Because my thing is too, we don't know much about this disc drive. We're assuming it's going to play those PS5 discs that some people have, right? So
it should, hopefully.
It should, but we don't know. I think it's a lot of questions just haven't been answered yet, and we at least about 2 months out from it. So I'm sure more information is going to come, but I mean, right now it's just I don't see it. Got another comment. Even with an entry level 4K TV, you still need a really good Ultra HD 4K TV to fully. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth, and they are not considering that. People do that. That's kind of like with when I remember when the flat screens came out and the HD came out, and you had people that was getting the HD TVs. Oh, I don't see the difference, but they didn't get HD channels. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I seen it, and I'm like, why do you have this if you're not paying for the HD channels? You're not gonna be able to see it. It's not gonna upscale the TV. Like you need to have the HD channels.
Speaking of that, it's still the funniest thing in the world to me that, like, cable companies and everything. I got Fios. They give you standard and HD channels, and a lot of people of the older generations don't know that there's a difference between the channels, and they just watching this fuzzy thing on a big 75-inch TV. Like, I upgraded my TV and it looked terrible. I'm like, if you just add, like, click on the button that say HD and switch the channel, man, I've seen so many people's eyes light up. Like,
yep.
I've been watching this for 2 years on trash, and I was like, yeah, something wrong with you. Like, I've had to fit so many family members' TV to say tune automatically to HD channel because they still don't know that there's a difference between the two sets. It's hilarious, but that's pretty much what Sony is doing. And not to mention, yeah, you need the Ultra HD 4K. You also need the right HDMI cord. Like, you can't just have a regular this $17.99 HD HDMI cord. I'm about to use this. Nah, bro, you need like a $90 cable to get that
right to fully get the full experience of what they're trying to push. Like, no, these things. If you want that maximum capabilities, you need all of this stuff. You have to
I
have
didn't
it.
even think about that. That
And
HDMI, I didn't think
yeah,
about it.
you have to have it. Like they're saying all that, and they're just assuming, oh yeah, they're gonna go out and spend $1,200 to get this TV and $200 to get that right cord to fully experience it. And then when you run the test, then you see that you ain't even getting that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? That's the truth of the matter. You're not going to get that, and probably not on the regular. And at some point, you know, like we were talking about earlier, we're reaching a point where games are not going to get any more graphically better than where they're at. It's not going to be like a huge jump anymore. Like we're capping out. So at that
Yeah.
point, where does your focus need to be on? The quality of the game, and
Mhm.
not always graphically, man. Because I'll play a game. We all know there's games on older consoles that we will rather play than some of the stuff that's on these newer consoles because the game is good. That's what it comes down to. Because why have all this strong console? Because truth be told, the Xbox has always been more powerful than PlayStation. But is it better than the PlayStation? I don't think so. But power wise, yeah, it was there. But that doesn't mean like it was better. It's all about what you have to give to the consumer. You know,
Not taking
Xbox has
advantage
their
of it.
Xbox has their own issues, but you got to have some good quality games. And I mean, honestly, and this may sound crazy. I'll say I may not be as qualified to say it, but maybe AK can say it. I can't tell you 10 PS5 games that I can name right off the top of my head. I can't.
I can tell you 10 games. It's just, are they all quality games? Because I was literally just having a conversation with somebody, one of my audience members. I'm like, he was like, "What's your top 5 favorite PS5 games?" I'm like, "Just on PS5?" Like that's kind of hard without going back to PS4 and stuff like that. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
was
putting
about
that
to say,
perspective for being out for 4 years, you can't think of your top 5 game. That's kind of crazy
I
yeah,
had to think
I was
when
about
you
it.
about to
think
say,
I mean,
about it.
there's a couple that I really like, but to name 5 really good ones, I'm like, we're pushing it. Maybe 3, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Eh.
What would you get ready to say, Black Ranger?
I was about to say, I mean, yeah, and for some people that'd be really tough because a lot of especially the first couple of years, everything was coming out for PS5 and PS4. You had the option to choose which one you were coming out with, so it's not even exclusive to PS5.
Yeah,
And they
that's
still
true.
making PS4 games, right?
I believe.
They're still putting it out on PS4. That's
When
a
does
whole
that
nother
stop?
conversation.
When does that
That's
stop?
a
Like,
whole nother conversation. We should talk about that on here. To be honest.
you're putting money into that, no matter how much it is.
Hmm.
The whole push is everybody likes digital. Everybody likes digital. We're saving money, but you're still putting out PS4 games too.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Save that money and put that into the product and making the product better. But
I think they're doing that because a lot of people didn't jump to the PS5. Like I know some people who still just play their PS4, and I think it is they're chasing money. They're like, oh, if nobody wants to buy, then yeah, well, we'll put it on PS4 too. But then that's a whole nother issue though, because now they're not making games that's up to par for the PS5. They're making it to where it can play on both. And that's a whole nother. I mean, they do have some games that just come out on PS5, but a lot of games still come out on PS4.
yeah, but I guess the real question is those games that's only on PS5, are they PS5 level according to them? Can that game still be just as good on the PS4?
Right.
I would think so. I honestly would think so, but it's like, there's so many different layers to unpack when it comes to stuff like that, especially when you decide to drop a new console and how to build on it. But we've talked about the PS5 Pro, so I want to know. We'll go around panel. How do you what do you think the perspective is for Nintendo? Like right now, knowing that they just announced the PS5 Pro, we know at some point the new Nintendo console is coming out next year. So with all this news coming out, what do you think Nintendo's thought process is, business wise and game wise? Like, what do you think is their thoughts on it?
Well, I'm wondering if they're gonna start taking more advantage of story-based games because I think that is kind of PlayStation thing is the big narrative. I'm
Mhm.
really curious to see Nintendo take a look on that, because I feel like a lot of their games, like Mario's and stuff like that, and I'm again probably not the best person to speak on this, but I feel like a lot of their games somewhat had the same storyline, or not just too deep on the story. I mean, I know there's a lot of lore to some games and stuff like that, but I don't know. I would really like to see them take a narrative approach, and I'm wondering if that's what they're gonna do.
You mean like have more of a almost like a reality based, kind of like Last of Us, kind of like have like a true story like that kind of.
Kind of, and I mean, it doesn't have to be like that, like real, like, because when I think of like The Last of Us, I think of like people like us, like they're in like Scream. It could still be kind of like cartoony based, but just like a little more of a narrative push. Because when I see Nintendo, I still do see, like, the cartoony esque stuff. I don't think they should lean away from that, but like just
Give it more of a storyline than Mario having to save
yeah,
princess. Even
yeah,
though
yeah,
Mario saving princess every time. I mean, Super Mario Odyssey is one of the greatest games ever to be
yeah.
created. And it's crazy how they can use that same concept over and over and still make a
Yeah,
fantastic game. And even
yeah.
in the case of Zelda, like it's very similar storylines, but Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild are fantastic games.
Hmm.
So it's like, I don't know. What do you think about Black Ranger? What do you think Nintendo's look right now? Like they're looking at the competition and like, what's your thoughts?
This is exactly what Nintendo did when they saw the. They were like, like in my mind, that's what Nintendo was doing. But they like, all right, they
That's
already
it.
know. And I think part of the push for this PS5 Pro is the fact that they know the next gen, Nintendo system is coming out. There's no real date. Nothing has been said, but they know it's coming out. So they like, all right, let's push out something to let these people know, you know what I'm saying? Look at these graphics. Look at these graphics. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Nintendo about to put out something new, but check out these graphics. So I feel like Nintendo's just on the side, like, all right, just go ahead, be money hungry. Like, if you're gonna be money hungry, at least make it good. Like, come on. Like, yeah, people
Nintendo
be
licking
like,
their chops, man.
hey,
Listen, Nintendo about to get their lick back. They ain't forget about when PlayStation came out and took the industry by storm. Like they ain't forget that time around, GameCube. They ain't forget. Now they like, yeah, we got something for you. And it's they have to do now. Nintendo's in a position where they ain't got to do too much. Expand on the Switch. If you make that Switch stronger, a little bit of graphic improvements, really, in all honesty, make it 4K in an OLED screen. It's a wrap. You can hang it up. I already think they're going to take the next generation. They're going to run. They because this right here is ain't it. And all Nintendo got to do is just deliver. That's all they got to do. Do what you do. Deliver a quality game. Make a little bit of improvements. You know what I'm saying? At least 4K in the handheld. Make it docked a little bit stronger. And it's a wrap. It's a wrap. They're gonna kill it. And especially if they come out with some of the IPs we haven't seen in a few years, let alone make another Donkey Kong or Metroid. They're gonna make a Zelda, another Mario mainline. It's a wrap. They not. It's nothing PlayStation be able to do with that. I'm sorry. Like they right now, Nintendo's back in the driver's seat of this entire gaming industry. They set the standard. They took back and they set the standard with the Switch. Look at everything that spawned from that. You got freaking Steam Deck. You got the Portal. You got the Raw Guy. All these things came from Nintendo starts. So, they tend to be in ways be overzealous with their technical thoughts and where they try to take things. But at least I'll say this: people aren't fans of how like they tried to incorporate the gamepad for the Wii U or like using the motion controls and stuff like that. But in all honesty, we look at the PS5 and they're not taking advantage of the DualSense controller and all its capabilities. Because as much as they didn't like that, this controller is capable of doing so much more, and it's like it's being underutilized. You
Mhm.
know, because that was one of the things that they talked about. Oh, this controller is so innovative. We got all these things that we can do with this controller, and you're not using it.
Mhm.
So, you know, like I think Nintendo's just waiting, and they're gonna kick the door through. They're gonna kick the door through, and you know, it's gonna be how it is. Got comment in here. One thing people won't say about Nintendo 20 years later is that their games look ugly. There's a ton of games that's made on. That's very true. Except the N64. I love the N64, but they did those and that's the same like N64 on PlayStation. The first place is in that same box, that square polygon thing. That was they aren't the greatest, but there was great games for it. You know, just now it didn't age very well. But yeah, that's very true because you know, you could put in a Switch game and it still looks good. It's almost to the point where you know, normally when you play retro games, they're the best on CRTs, and that's kind of where Nintendo is. As long it just needs all that extra. To me, it's extra. I don't play a game to see the character shadow on the wall. Like I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not gonna make the game any better. Oh yeah, look at the shadow. Like okay, you know what I'm saying? Is Spider-Man gonna be not as good because you didn't see his shadow on the big New York buildings? No, like you, that's not. I mean, to some people,
I feel like the only thing it does with me is like it makes me a little more immersed, and I'm not necessarily saying like the shadow necessarily, but I'm just saying like the better the graphics are, I feel like the more immersed I am, and that's kind of I'm gonna kind of go back to what I was saying beforehand with the like narrative aspects and like the graphics aspects and stuff like that. I feel like I'm hoping to see that more from them so I can get immersed in their games and stuff like that. Because even I was playing the last game I was playing on the Switch was probably Luigi's Mansion 2. And I
Mhm.
don't know, like I couldn't like I really like Luigi's Mansion, but for some reason, like I just could not get as immersed in that game as I would have liked to. And I can't really pinpoint why, but I don't know. I think Sony's just missing that for me. Like I still really respect Nintendo, or sorry, Nintendo. I still really respect Nintendo and I love what they do and stuff like that. And I think they've been innovative. I just something's like just not clicking for me.
yeah. I mean, I think I can see why. I think because if you're a Sony girl, and depends on eras too. You know, you came up in the era. You know, I think what you said like PS2 was when
Yeah.
you. So you got to think like there was a lot of improvement as far as the quality graphics and stuff that make things more immersed. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, Nintendo doesn't really have that. It's more so about playing the game. I think being immersed has everything to do with the presentation of the game, with it being a little more realistic.
Yeah.
But the being immersed as far as Nintendo is like kind of going into that world instead of more like being a part of, I guess, reality. You're going into a whole nother world. You're going to the gaming scene, if that makes sense. I feel like that's where the difference is because you can be immersed in a different way. But I think I
Yeah.
can see your point where you know you may feel like you know you playing Spider-Man, like you feel like you swinging from the buildings
Yeah.
in real life. You know what I'm saying? But then you could get so locked in with you know Mario, like you might feel like you know you're in that almost like how the Super Mario movie was. You know, it's more
Hmm.
so going into that versus that's what I feel like it is. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. But you know, there's ways to make it more immersive. But I can see where you would get that. Again,
Hmm.
I just think that they focus more on that's the thing. Nintendo's really protective, especially over Mario. Like
Yeah.
Mario's out, they're not gonna put out something like they're gonna make sure no, if this gonna come out, it's got Nintendo. They're gonna make sure that it's right. They're not just going to put it out and oh yeah, we made a mistake. Because I
Did,
mean,
yeah.
but go ahead.
Did you guys hear? I don't know if you guys know about this, but I guess in Japan they had like a Mario Kart like street racing thing or
Hmm.
something like that. And I
Hmm.
heard that recently Nintendo shut it down.
Not surprising. Not
Yeah,
surprising.
well, it was up for a while, so I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Like, why now? Like, I'm sure they knew it was up. I mean, it's in Japan. I'm pretty sure that's where they're located at and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm wondering, like, what changed.
Probably because that museum's about to open. They're probably going to try to find a way to incorporate it
That's a
somewhere
good point.
there. That or the Super Nintendo worlds the other ones being built in Florida. So I'm pretty sure they're probably focusing more so not that has anything to do with it, but they are building that museum over there. So I'd imagine they probably do something to kind of drive people in that direction with that. That's just my thoughts. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe.
But they're really particular about what they do with their IPs, and that's something that I think that any and everybody should be able to respect. That they
Mhm.
before they let something out, they're gonna make sure now we're gonna put that stamp of approval. So
Yeah.
I think some other companies should take some lessons from that. Does anybody have any pickups from this week?
I do.
Mm, all right. Show us what you got, AK. Take it away.
All righty. So, if you know anything about me, you know my favorite anime is One Piece. So I got One Piece Pirate Carnival for PS2.
Okay.
Uh, I have SSX for PS2.
Sweet.
God of War Chains of Olympus for PSP. And Hitman, I believe this is for Xbox. I don't know, but it's a steelbook case. I got it because I like the case and I'm a big Hitman fan. So yeah, those are my pickups.
That's awesome. What about you, Black Ranger?
Picked up nothing but my cow in the groceries this week. I think the last things I picked up was from Retro World Expo. For a bunch of sports things. They are sitting here right next to me. I just don't know if I want the world to know. Well, no, I really don't care. They're right here, literally. So first thing I picked up was this awesome T-Mobile bag.
I got the same bag.
Right. And then one that two. I think I got five games. Not that.
You can just pick a couple and save for the video. We're all gonna go and watch the video anyway.
Right. ECW Hardcore Revolution.
Love ECW. Gotta love that.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I didn't have this one yet.
It's
I'm
classic.
still used to it on PlayStation and Dreamcast, and surprisingly, I don't know if anybody knows this Track and Field 2000 is actually worth way more than I expected. This one was 35 because the label was a little faded, but like the other one that was in good condition was damn near $100.
What?
Like, what is going on? Yeah.
What is it price chart at? I gotta look that up.
I gotta look it up.
Curious about that. Let me look that up. I'm gonna look that up.
But yeah,
that's
I grabbed those.
Great.
Where is it? Oh, that's not how you spell track either. Track and Field 2000. And I think it shouldn't even be that. Yeah, you can get a complete in box. Well, complete in box is $150. But the loose one price charts at $30. So that's why I was like, I don't know why old boy was trying to charge that much for it.
Huh.
I paid for the I didn't even pay 30. I paid nothing for any of these. I traded for all the stuff I got at Retro World, which was a beautiful thing. I actually left with more money than I came with. So I'm happy with that. So yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So I started a new series on my channel. It's $20 Swiss challenge. I'm building my collection $20 because there are a lot of games that are now like the freaking Switch library is insanely huge. So there are a lot of games that you can pick up for $20 or less. So I want to take advantage of that. On Friday the 13th, I made a video on Friday the 13th that dropped, and I bought Friday the 13th the game. And so, disclaimer. If I were y'all, if y'all see this is also on Xbox or PlayStation, I would go get a copy. For one, you don't see a lot of them anymore, and these are being pulled down off of the server in December. So I imagine these will go up in value. Like I said, I don't see them as much. Like I had to drive to a GameStop like 30 minutes away to find it because I was actually looking for that game in particular. And it's not the controls are like sticky, but the thought process, like I feel like we got robbed because the owner of the name for Friday 13th, he had them pull the game down from online for rights and stuff like that. But we got robbed. Like
Yeah.
you can still play it locally, but the thought process of one person being Jason, and then your friends are like counselors, and you got to hunt them down, kill them, or kill Jason. Like that's awesome. So I'm like, damn, like we got robbed, But even playing it locally, I think it still will be fun, even though the graphics is a little bit not graphics, but the controls a little bit sticky. But it's still a fun game regardless. And then I also picked up Assassin's Creed, the Ezio collection, which I think is a great value. It's got 3 games on here. It's got Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. I always love these compilations. They've been coming out with a lot on the Switch lately, and $20 for 3 games ain't bad. I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed, but I haven't fully been able to get into it. Because I like games. I'm not the biggest fan of open world because I kind of like my games to kind of be guided, if that makes sense. Because I feel it's times where I've tried to play Assassin's Creed and it's a good game, but it's like I kind of can get lost. Like, bro, what am I supposed to be doing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
they can be huge sometimes too, like Valhalla, Odyssey. They're huge maps.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's cool, but guide me a little bit. You got to go do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me a little bit, because it's times where I'm like, all right, this is cool, but okay, I'm stuck. Where am I supposed to go? I don't like that. It frustrates me big time. But I think they're great games. But who knows? I still got Valhalla on PS5. It's probably sealed because I haven't touched it. But I want to be able to get into that, and hopefully the portal will get me to that point. But we have reached our hour mark, so we are going to close today's episodes out. We will go around the panel and talk about what you guys have coming in the future for your channel. Black Ranger.
Yes. What's up, you guys? Definitely look out for the Retro World Expo vlog / pickup video that will be coming out this week. I finished BSing on it. That will be coming out. And then my standard video games monthly unboxing will be coming. More than likely that should be next week. And just look for some fun things coming out. I'm about to start diving into some more stuff and just having more fun with the channel again. Stuff started getting a little leery. You know what I'm saying? Felt like a little bit of work, but now I'm back to having fun. So look out for some great things.
All right.
Black Ranger on everything.
All right. Yeah. So this week, I know I was saying I was going to do it last week, but this week I'm doing my simulator games are weird video. I had to postpone it because the PS5 Pro was released. So I'm going to be doing that. Some more shorts coming your way. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. And as for me, my Retro World vlog should be coming this week. I'm going to try to finish it after we get off here. And then I also have 2 more partner videos from Nintendo that's going to be dropping this week as well. So busy content coming. Also, I will be I've added to my list. I'm going to be at Retro Bricks convention in Arkansas in October. And I also going to be a media guest at Torg in November in Ohio. And recently, I got another media pass to go to Pittsburgh Gaming Expo, which is also in October. So I will be doing those and bringing more Nintendo content to the channel. And of course, we should be doing this podcast every single Sunday. So until next week, we will see y'all. Be safe. Love on your family.
Bye, guys.